me tell you about my wife. She's got a lot of opinions, and she's a first-generation Korean woman. I'm not going to do. I wanted to wind up to do a really offensive accent and then not do that. So I'm just not.
That would have been funny.
Yeah, it would have been funny.
It would have been cool.
So if it wasn't a Korean accent, it was like an Italian accent or
guys,
something.
Dude, I wish. Then my wife could cook.
Oh!
Guys,
Zing.
I'm so fucking exhausted, and I'm already a little drunk starting out on this podcast.
Well,
do you want to just
drink your way to the other side.
No, here's my point. I had to work 5 days in a row this week,
Boo.
like a
5
normal
whole
fucking
days?
person, and I don't know how you fucking psychopaths do it.
It sucks. I also have to write these outlines as well.
You do
get
a lot of
to
research.
write those out.
Yeah. You have the privilege of being the storyman of the show.
I'm dyslexic AF, and you know I can't fucking pull it off.
Yeah.
AF all the fucking time. Isn't that what that means?
I'm dyslexic at all times. Everybody, thank you for listening to the History Boys.
Here we are.
We are the number one and only History Boys podcast on.
There's not another one.
We out of all the History Boys podcasts, we have the largest genitalia, and it's a problem because it's mostly balls that they're too big.
Yeah. It's
Collectively, we're 3 inches wide.
balls.
Yeah,
It's all balls.
Yeah.
we're all It's sitting down. It's been a chore.
I think we're good talking about the potential white clouds, and let's start talking about a red cloud.
Do we want to introduce ourselves? We didn't get there yet.
Yeah, do you want to introduce us?
I'm Tyler.
You know who I am. I'm Chris. We got Zach
Hey, what's up?
and Jerry.
Hello.
Also Tyler.
Once again,
He's still here.
Still
he
here.
didn't leave.
I mean, we got thunderclouds right now, so
Yeah.
It is thundering, and Borderlands 3 comes out in an hour and a half, so let's wrap this up, gang.
Well, last time we left you with a very angry Red Cloud in the wake of the Sand Creek Massacre. Red Cloud was now preparing to tactically pick apart the American military by cutting off their supply lines and attacking them nearly constantly with these harassing guerrilla tactics. With these rising tensions and rising hostilities between the Lakota and the American military, there was a man that was charged with manning a certain station that was north of Fort Laramie called Bridge Station, that at this particular time had been relatively quiet, had been sort of a safe place that hadn't really seen anybody there. And this guy's name was Lieutenant Casper Collins.
Sounds like a bitch.
I don't even
was
know
he
if
a friendly
was.
ghost?
Well, he is now, so I
Well, he's a ghost, that's for sure.
oh, he's certainly a ghost.
Probably a very racist ghost.
Certainly, yes.
Casper the racist ghost.
Yeah.
Collins.
He had been belittled by his commanding officer. His commanding officer called him a coward for staying too long at Fort Laramie on a supply run. It's like, you got your supplies, now get out of here. What are you, coward?
So his commander called him a bitch, much like Tyler did.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I mean, he's like, I'm just taking my time because, all these trails are getting attacked by fucking Lakotas. And, so, yeah, I need to very slowly order some supplies.
Well, and Bridge Station was, like, pretty secluded. It was really out in the middle. It was not...
Where was it in
fort.
modern day geography-wise?
Well, Fort Laramie's still a place. It was north of there. North of Fort Laramie.
Where's Fort Laramie?
Wyoming?
Okay.
It's in Wyoming, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Fort Laramie is it bisects the Bozeman Trail, which goes north into the Montana goldfields.
Okay.
And the Oregon Trail, which goes into Oregon.
And cholera.
Right, yeah. Well, it came from Colorado, right?
I was saying cholera. You get cholera on the Oregon
cholera.
Trail. And a snake bite.
Yeah, yeah.
And you name all your friends, you name all your crew, Buttface. And it's
yeah.
Buttface died of a snake bite. You're like...
Butt liquor died of cholera.
Yeah.
Butt face died of snake bite.
And then Butthead died of dysentery.
Oh.
Oh, yes. We've all played the game.
Yeah, he shit his fucking brains out. Is that what that one was?
That's pretty much what
Which
that
one
is.
was?
Dysentery? Yeah.
Before reaching his post, though, he even had somebody tell him that it was like a total suicide mission. Casper Collins had this to say. He says, quote, "I am not a coward. I know what it means to go out, but I've never disobeyed an order. I'm a soldier's son." End quote.
Cool.
Sounds like an excuse to me.
He's just following orders.
I just hear that as like Richard Nixon. I am not a coward.
I am not a coward. Yeah. Richard
Futurama.
Nixon.
Get him, Agnew.
Yeah. And maybe all of this like coward talk was like ringing in his ears when he decided to take 28 soldiers to guard a supply wagon heading north of Bridge Station. Maybe all of this coward talk was really ringing in his ears when he decided to take 28 soldiers to guard a supply wagon that was going north of Bridge Station. And of course, he ran directly into Red Cloud's 3,000 strong army on the way to punish the Whites for Sand Creek.
I'm sure that he just talked his way out of it.
No.
Forehead intact.
They absolutely started falling back almost immediately because they ran into an ambush of hiding bad faces as they sort of fell back too. Like, they were ready for them to be coming up north. Like, they were always watching. Even if you didn't see them, they were there.
And they got resting bad face.
Of course, Collins himself was shot directly through the forehead with an arrow,
Oh.
almost immediately.
A bullseye.
His body was never recovered.
I'm sure it was handled respectfully.
So, do you think Red Cloud was listening to Lizzo when they were doing the ambush?
100%.
Is that a Lizzo thing?
100%
That
Is there a
bitch.
Lizzo thing?
bad face.
Oh.
Is that a Lizzo thing?
That's a Lizzo.
I don't
thing.
know Lizzo.
I mean,
She's-
I'm hip.
She's
I'm
sweep
with
of the
it.
nation.
I'm
man.
old.
I am so not hip.
My
I'm
wife
old.
likes her.
I think everyone's wife likes her.
Yeah.
My wife would like her if she listened to it,
Yeah.
and she probably has, and kept it from me, because she knew I would storm in being like, what is this feminist propaganda?
Shaking your finger at the sky.
Yeah. I
You
do
and
that.
your thoughts and opinions.
I was like, what is this put on Dragon Ball Z?
The crazy thing about it, though, is there was relief troops that were coming into Bridge Station at the time, because this was not far away from Bridge Station. They did not make it far before they ran directly into Red Cloud.
Oh, Red
these-
Cloud was ready to go.
Yeah, they saw the slaughter happening, and they're like, "Oh shit, get over there!" But they couldn't get there in time.
It's like one guy from Bridge Station being like, "Hey, go behind that tree.
Stop slaughtering my friends.
Cut it out, guys."
But I
I'm
mean,
telling mom.
So they circled their wagons to like have a defensive position because they couldn't make it to Bridge Station. Yeah. They were cut off. They could sort of hold them off that way. But all of a sudden, it got real quiet. And that's because the Oglalas got off their horses and started creeping through the grass
Stealth
towards
mode,
them
baby.
with like knives and tomahawks.
they're
and
creeping
stuff.
on the motherfucker.
And they're like, "Where are they? Where are they?" And Bridge Station could see all these guys
but they
like
couldn't
on their
do
bellies
anything.
crawling towards them. And so what they did is they like fired their cannon. They're like, "Hey, stop! They're coming at you!" And they're like, "Huh?" And they had no idea what the hell they were trying to warn them
What?
against.
The killer's
Cannon?
right behind you.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like that old story where the car's coming up to that woman and he's honking and he's doing all this, and there's a dude with a claw in the back seat.
And the guy with the hook was her friend. Warning,
It was Topher Grace.
I forgot.
So of course those relief troops were also slaughtered, and the Oglalas melted back into the hills. The people down at Fort Laramie were pretty pissed off by this.
Would you say that they were seeing red?
Nice.
Certainly.
Would you say they're green with envy?
Not as good. It's also a
as
color.
good.
As I was saying my thing, I just got his thing. It makes way more sense. It's super funny.
I did want to read this part. This is directly from the heart of everything that is, which again I recommend to everybody. This is probably one of the greatest historical texts I've probably ever read. Quote, Any red man was fair game, and a deep hole dug beneath hastily erected gallows just beyond Fort Laramie's walls began to fill with corpses. In his journal, the young second lieutenant James Regan described watching 3 Lakota hanging from the crude wooden structure. And this is from his diary. Quote, "In the most barbarous manner, by means of coarse chains around their necks and heavy chains and iron balls attached to the lower part of the naked limbs to keep them down. There was no drop. They were allowed to writhe and strangle to death. Their lifeless bodies, swayed by every passing breeze, were permitted to dangle from the crosspiece until they rotted and dropped to the ground. We could see their bones protruding from the common grave under the gallows." And this was like any of them that were like, "Hey, no, we're still friendly. We still signed like treaties and stuff." And they'd come over to Fort Laramie to like trade, and they'd like
Any of them.
string them, like not string them up, but like straight up chain them up, and then weight their
Jesus.
bodies down to like make them strangle faster.
Yeah.
It is
But not so
Horrible.
fast as a
Think
normal
about it.
hanging and break their neck.
right. No, they
Yeah.
wanted them to choke to death, and like think about that like a chain, not a rope.
And
they-
the chafing.
And to any of them. But Jesus fucking Christ.
This is also from the same part of the book. Among those hanged and left to decompose were a luckless group of Laramie loafers, and Laramie loafers were some like sort of not totally hostile but not totally friendly Lakota that were around the area of Fort
Okay.
Laramie.
Oh, I thought
Anyway,
Laramie loafers were like a laid-back shoe you'd wear on a boat.
No.
I thought the same thing.
All right, well,
They were accused of raiding on Fort Rankin in some other raids with the Southern hostiles, but whose true crime may have been skinning and barbecuing a number of the post's feral cats.
Aw.
That the quartermaster valued as mousers and ratters. And so they're like kind of pissed off about that. But not long afterwards, 2 Lakota headmen arrived with a white female prisoner that they had actually purchased from a band of wild Cheyenne. Their intention was to curry favor with the whites by returning her to her people, and they assumed that this show of good faith would stand them in good stead with the soldiers. Instead, the hysterical white woman accused them of rape, and they were led to the scaffold by the fort's temporary commander, Colonel Thomas Moonlight, who we don't really have time to go into, but he was a total piece of shit.
I just want to say I believe victims.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I was gonna say, I mean, are we sure?
I believe women.
Look, I don't know. It doesn't really go into any of this. Her name is not recorded.
when you say she accused them of rape, it imply. I mean,
well, I'm sure she was taken captive by these hostile Cheyenne, and who knows what happened to her during that time.
But of course they're gonna believe her.
right?
That's
no,
what I'm
of course.
saying.
Yeah. Of course.
I mean, they
for
have
the
a-
last time in history since now.
Yeah, like literally, like
I mean, I still think that
whether or
the
not it
Fort
happened.
Laramie guys are the bad guys, but I'm just saying.
Oh no,
I don't
no,
blame
no.
them for believing that
Oh no. Neither do I.
under the
again,
circumstances.
Certainly not. After their execution, they hung on artillery trace chains and leg irons until, and this is from the book, until the putrid flesh peeled from their skeletons. So they were left there to rot until the bodies just naturally sort of fell into
Just
the hole.
decomposed.
Art of the
Jesus.
deal. Art of the deal.
Ugh.
Yeah, that's in that book.
It's
Yeah.
nasty business.
It's a Cannibal Corpse album art cover right there.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Pretty much. So the U.S. government was fed up. They attempted a 3-prong assault on Red Cloud to combine forces at the Powder River Country. Their plan was to offer another treaty.
That's gonna work out.
Yeah, when they failed their 3-prong assault. There wasn't enough water. They didn't know what the hell they were doing. It just didn't go well. So they were like, all right, treaty time. So here's their terms. Open the Bozeman Trail to any and all travelers to pass through into the Montana goldfields. Build 3 new forts along the Bozeman Trail. Fort Reno, Fort Phil Kearny, and Fort C.F. Smith, respectively, Fort Reno being the southernmost new fort.
They're gonna need so many chairs and so many pillows to build those forts. If my fort building experience figures into this in any way,
Well, yeah, and certainly no girls allowed.
it's just those are the rules, man. Just me and my boys.
And then, of course, moving the occupying Indians from these areas to reservations.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a no-go. Let's be real.
So, would you say that this guy was a regular Boris Johnson trying to do a
Yes.
Brexit no deal?
Yes.
Yeah,
Nice.
a
Very
hard-
timely, Zach.
It's a hard Brexit.
it's a hard Brexit.
Rather than the soft Brexit.
In the meantime, the U.S. government was like, the Oregon Trail and the Bozeman Trail are perfectly safe. Everyone should just go. And they're like, oh, okay. Because, Andrew Johnson? Yes, Andrew Johnson, who preceded Lincoln. He said, oh, we've made peace with the Sioux. And again, Sioux is a total misnomer.
Yeah.
Sioux is not representative of everybody inside of the Sioux Nation. So, no, you may have made friends with some of them, but certainly not all of them.
That's how I feel with the Raider Nation.
Go to hell, Zach.
What it sounds like to me is it's again that kind of thing where they like the white Americans tend to think, oh, if the leader is fine with it, then everyone's
Right.
fine with it.
But there is no leader.
and there's no
Of the Sioux Nation.
You're just talking about a large group of different people and different tribes and different cultures and different
that
individuals
speak the same language.
This is
So they
no,
assume that because they talk to maybe one person
Yeah.
who is their lead, like a leader in some respects, and not the way that white people were viewing it,
Yes.
that we've made peace with this entire group of people because
Right.
that's how we were doing it.
This is
That's
the
how the
night-
United States was doing it.
Go ahead.
It's Eurocentric, yes.
I was just gonna say it's the 19th century version of thinking that all black people know each other.
Yeah.
It's like a really like base level shitty, like, I don't know, it's like soft racist white people stuff.
Right.
And I'm a white person.
Right.
I like white people. I know a lot of white people, but we make some mistakes.
Clearly.
Historically, we made a lot.
Some?
I mean, I've made some mistakes personally. Most of them didn't, and I hope didn't involve
Genocide?
subjugating an entire race or genocide.
Yeah.
I hope that there wasn't a butterfly effect that caused that.
I mean,
You won't know for a really long time.
I mean, we are here now because of all of this.
Oh, yes.
We can't be afraid of our history.
We're,
We are sitting here in this room because this happened.
Because this shit happened is why I have this apartment in Seattle.
Pretty much.
That we're all sitting in right now.
I mean, not directly, indirectly, but still, it wouldn't be the case if we didn't do this.
Yeah.
My family moved here in the early 20th century, so I just want to say I'm absolved of any of the sins of the people that lived here before me. I'm just laying that out.
Your family's from Ohio. Iowa?
Iowa.
That's the same.
And
fucking
before
thing. Who
that,
cares?
Germany.
Oh. Yeah, the Germans never...
We
They
left,
never did anything wrong.
We left in the early 20th century.
Yeah, before that, they were totally good guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't remember any missteps the Germans made in the
at any
fucking
point.
1930s, 40s.
No, we left before that.
I don't think those were missteps. I think they were goose steps.
I
And that was from an Austrian.
I'm just
Coming in.
My family crest is somebody hiding underneath a rock. If there was conflict, there's a good chance that we were far away from it.
Proud
Out of fear.
cowards.
You guys moved up from fucking Argentina.
Yeah.
So because of these plans, they sent one Colonel Henry B.B. Carrington
Oh, BB!
over west to oversee the new treaty at Fort Laramie, and then head north to build those two new forts. They'd already completed work, or at least started work on Fort Reno, but he was tasked with building, or at least overseeing the building of Fort Phil Kearny and Fort C.F. Smith.
When you need a fort built, you gotta have a man who has very small, rock-hard nipples. And that's why his nickname was BB. I'm making an
That's
assumption.
not his nickname.
That's his name?
That's his, yeah,
He
that's
was
his
born with
middle
rock
name.
hard, tiny nipples.
A man with tiny, rock-hard nipples and parents who hated him before he was even born.
I mean, I thought BB stood for beautiful butt.
No, it's BEEBEE.
Or,
I don't know.
maybe he was always followed by a swarm of bees.
Oh, like dude,
That would be way cooler.
like my girl.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's like
movie.
my girl, but he's not allergic, so he's just in pain all
like-
the time.
Put on his
Constantly
glasses. He
swollen.
can't see without his glasses.
Oh, he's like, I can't see and I love honey. Why do I keep on getting stung?
Macaulay Culkin died in that movie.
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Now Carrington was a slight man. He was a skinny, short man. He did serve in the Civil War, but from behind a desk. You see, Carrington was more of an administrator than a soldier, and a lot of people viewed him as sort of a politician in uniform, so to speak. And so, as far as any battle, let alone fighting Indians, any fighting experience, he was extremely inexperienced in any sort of fighting.
But his spreadsheets.
Oh, his spreadsheets.
Dude, his
Top-notch.
His Excel skill.
Is the only thing he ever excelled at.
I thought
We're
you
gonna
wanted to
cut
say
that out.
Excel games just to shoehorn a Dragon Ball reference, like the Cell games.
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's all
Oh,
about,
the scale
you know.
games. Anyway,
I'm never afraid to shoehorn in a Dragon Ball reference.
Now, of course, the U.S. government wasn't the only people that were fed up. Red Cloud was also fed up with any treaty at this point, and knowing that he was going to war with the U.S., like, knowing absolutely that was going to happen, he sort of went to Fort Laramie as a curiosity, and, more importantly, to size up his new enemy, Colonel Carrington. So he went there fully knowing he wasn't going to sign shit just to see what they got. When they all showed up and they gathered around for the treaty, Carrington was introduced, but his reputation as the Little White Chief, which is what they called him, had preceded him. And there was an instant grumbling from all the Indians, and it was quickly decided to let the Indians speak first, and not let him stand up there and speak. So, many of the Oglala men and whoever else was there, they all stood up and they harangued the U.S. for their empty promises, but when Red Cloud stood up, all was quiet. He said, here's a quote, and I love Red Cloud quotes, they're badass. The Great Father sends us presents and wants a new road. But the White Chief already goes with soldiers to steal the road before the Indian says yes or no. I will talk no more. I will go now, and I will fight you. As long as I live, I will fight you for the last hunting grounds.
Badass.
That's all he said. His last words were nearly drowned out by cheering, the cheering.
well,
in
and
the
when
fort.
he held the stick sideways and dropped it, it wasn't for, I don't know, decades before he realized it was the first mic drop.
Yeah, Chris Rock would popularize that later.
So as these cheering throngs are around him, Red Cloud looks Carrington in the face and begins walking directly at him. And everyone's sort of watching, including Margaret Carrington, Colonel Carrington's wife, was like, "Oh no!"
I'm
like,
so wet right now.
well, she was like, "He's going to assassinate him right here in front of everybody," and even to the degree where like he got like so close that Carrington even put his hand on his pistol, and Red Cloud walked right by Carrington without saying a word, as if Carrington was invisible, which is awesome.
Sometimes, in order to say bitch please, you
Yeah.
don't say anything at all.
Yeah, you walk by someone as if they don't exist.
And also, I stand by the fact that Carrington's wife totally wanted to fuck Red Cloud.
So Carrington led 700 poorly trained troops with outdated single-shot muskets, and 300 civilians, including his wife Margaret Carrington, and 35... this is the craziest part of this. A 35-man regimental brass band, who for some reason, they're the only ones with, like, modern repeating rifles on them. He led him out of Fort Laramie North to where he was going. It just makes no sense.
Were they
You want me
playing
to shoot him? No, I want you to play.
Now, my question is, were they playing that song in the original Star Trek in the Coliseum?
They were probably playing some John Philip Sousa, who was really big at the time.
Okay.
I do love Sousa.
And along with them, as their guide, they brought the legendary mountain man out of retirement, Jim Bridger, to help them along the trail.
Oh,
Bridger.
Bridger.
Have we made a reference to calling in a badass out of retirement and having to have the helicopter come in while they're chopping firewood?
Yeah, Waste Cincinnatus.
They helicoptered in, be like, we need you back, and he's like, I gave up on this fucking thing when the thing gave up on me, and he's chopping wood.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Pretty much. He was an old man. He was in his 60s. He was an old man.
And he had an eye patch.
Oh,
and,
Well, his eyesight was failing him, sort of, but he could still cut it. He could still cut it, for sure.
Cool.
And he knew what he was doing. They knew that even though they couldn't see Red Cloud's Oglala Braves, it didn't mean they weren't there. They were shadowing their every move. And they became totally aware of that when they got to, like, certain trading posts and whatnot. Oh, I actually forgot to mention, they brought a photographer with them, which is really strange, super strange. This guy's name was Ridgway Glover, and he had like long blonde hair, and like he would always like tell like crazy stories where like he got to like take pictures of all sorts of stuff. He's like, you know, like the cool guy of the group, and he would always like go off on his own, and like all he had was like a cart. It was sort of like a it's like
a shopping cart?
No, it's more like a wheelbarrow, only you drag it.
Oh,
A drag
reverse
barrel.
Like a plow.
A drag
but-
barrel.
No, it's like a
A reverse cowgirl.
I forget the.
Oh, wait.
I forget the name of it. It's like a trieme,
Tramp?
something like that. It's
Isn't a trieme like a Greek boat?
yeah, it is. It is. You're right. No, it's like a. It starts with a T. Anyway,
Let's
what it was.
frame the subject.
What it was like a portable dark room. But he'd go off by himself to like take pictures without any guns or horses.
Because he's a pervert.
They'd be like, dude, what are you doing? Like, don't go out there. Like, they're trying to kill us. And he's like, they'll think I'm a Mormon.
So,
And-
okay, sorry, I have to interject here.
Yeah.
So basically, this guy, it's like that scene in Full Metal Jacket where they meet up in Vietnam. And it's like,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
seen any
He's
combat?
Dennis,
It's
he's
like,
Dennis Hopper.
yeah, I've seen some on TV.
He's way Dennis Hopper.
Jesus
With, like, all the
Christ.
cameras and stuff. And he's like, was he a kind man? But they did stop at this one small trading post. And this is kind of funny. The proprietor was a Frenchman named Louis Gazot. But Jim Bridger knew him, and he introduced him as simply French Pete.
Here's my pal French Pete.
This is my pal French Pete.
It's
This is,
French Pete.
Came to the frontier to trade furs. Ended up being a connoisseur of native cuisine, if you know what I mean. This is his wife.
Yeah, his wife was Sue, and so they weren't worried about.
Wait, was that her
Indian
name?
attacks. No, she was Sue.
But he did come there to eat native pussy. Is what I'm saying.
S-O-U-I-X.
Because he's a Frenchman.
So French Pete was Pepe Le Pew.
Sort of, in a way.
Pepe Le Pussy. Eater.
But yeah,
He
they
says as he's stroking a cat.
Tyler is petting a cat right now.
yeah, Dr. Jonathan Sparkles.
It's a good boy.
So yeah, they weren't worried about any sort of Indian attacks, but they told Carrington that not 24 hours earlier, they had a bunch of horses stolen. And they were like, well, who do you think did it? And they're like, oh, Red Cloud. Red Cloud did that.
I mean, if I was Red Cloud, I would have stolen those horses.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not really like, did anyone really ever own the horses? You know? I'm just...
They did find one of the horses, and it was kind of this, like, lame horse, and it had, like, some bags on it, and when they found it, like, they opened the bags, and inside were all the gifts they gave him at Fort Laramie,
Oh, do you ever have that thing?
which is a giant middle finger, and I think that's amazing
That
that they
is
like
Here's the
almost like
shittiest
meant,
horse with all your dumb shit.
yeah,
assholes.
they like meant for them to find it in a way. It's super cool.
That is fucking awesome. Do you
I am
ever, do you ever
kinda
have that thing
disappointed.
happen in Red Dead where you like try to get into the horse's bags and it like kicks you?
Oh yeah, all the time,
Oh.
more often than not.
What is a lame horse?
Legs
It's just
are
like
fucked up.
old. It you know, it's not very good.
Doesn't like to
anymore.
hang out.
I feel like that's where the word lame comes from.
Yeah, I think it comes. It's like a horse term.
You're at the bar, you order a drink, you're with the horse, it orders like I don't know, like a Campari soda or something like that. You're like, come on, man, it's Friday.
Yeah, it's like a
lame
horse
ass
that can't
horse.
lamp.
Yeah.
Or
It's lame. So Carrington moved north and found his perfect spot for Fort Phil Kearny. And Jim Bridger was like, hey, you know that around this area, yeah, there's like a lot of access to resources like trees and there's a river here and whatnot,
Yeah.
but it's flanked by like hills that are out of our range.
Yeah.
They can literally stand up there and see exactly what we're doing, and we can't do anything about it.
Duly noted.
And yeah, he built it anyway. Yeah, he pretty
give
much
a-
said that.
don't tell me where to build my fucking fort.
Yeah.
Piece of shit.
Carrington from day one had not enough supplies to make it. Not good soldiers, not enough ammunition, not great weapons,
A great brass band.
but a great brass band.
I just feel like in a lot of the stories we've told in this podcast so far, there's always one guy who just wasn't prepared for the situation.
Yeah.
You know, like
And
a
honestly,
Madero or
yeah,
like
yeah. Carrington is like a Madero-styled guy. He's not prepared for what's coming. He's not necessarily a horrible person. He's just the wrong man in the wrong
he's
place.
the wrong man for the
at
job
the wrong time.
at the
Yeah.
wrong time, and they all deserve to die because of
And his parents like way supported
did
him
to
and
you.
were like,
Yeah.
you're special. Like everything you do is gonna be great someday. And he's like, yeah, I don't need to prepare for anything. And you
Well,
know,
he didn't really know what he was gonna get when he got there. You know,
he didn't know what he was getting into.
dipshit
No, he
didn't
had
know what
no
he was
what it
idea.
doing.
sounds like. It's
He had
like-
no idea.
I was like, we're gonna just have a brass band. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Like,
He brought a brass band with him. I mean, that is indicative of how
That
prepared
really-
he was.
Hey, honey,
It's
you
very
want to come
cool.
on this trip? I'm going to build a fort and fight a bunch of natives. I got this brass band.
oh, I love brass.
I mean, to be fair, that's
Mrs.
gonna
Carrington.
totally boost morale like a motherfucker.
Oh, morale was at an all-time low. Nearly the entire
Even
time.
with that's
the
what
brass
just with
band
the brass
going down.
band?
Even with the brass band.
That's fucked up.
2, 3, 4. Shut the fuck up.
I'm just saying, if our friend group brought a brass band into the mix, I would be into it.
That would be pretty dope. But we're not trying
And
to
we're
build
just
a bunch of
walking down
forts
this-
in the middle of goddamn nowhere.
We're just
with a bunch
walking
of
down the
hostile
street,
Indians.
getting blackout drunk, listening to this brass band that hangs out with us. My morale would be pretty high.
And they have the best repeating rifles.
So I have
For
to
some reason.
I have to make one shout out. Aaron Weed, if you're listening,
Oh,
we
Mr.
need you
Aaron
to
Weed.
start playing the sousaphone every time we hang out.
Does he play the sousaphone?
He plays
He plays like
many
every
instru-
instrument
yeah.
on the face of the planet, man.
But I just want him to play the sousaphone. Like every time I walk, when I'm like way too full,
Yeah.
do the fat guy walk.
Womp, 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 womp.
I bet you, Aaron, we could actually bust out some legit John Philip Sousa. So yeah, they straight up had to build a fort. They were more builders at this time than they were soldiers.
They're not afraid of nothing.
Well, they got to build a fort. And if Carrington was prepared for something, it was building and fortifying, and that's about it. Like that's the kind of things he knew how to do.
Carrington?
But you know who didn't wait for Carrington to get settled?
Red Cloud.
Red Cloud. The raids started immediately.
He's like, hold up.
Time out!
You're ruining my fort, guys.
Time out. I gotta build my fort first.
Yeah, and he would hit them just with guerrilla raids, steal a bunch of their horses. Like they stole, I think in this entire conflict they stole upwards of 500 horses from them.
Every guy's got like 3 horses.
Yeah, having horses was a constant problem for them because they would. Oh, god damn it! He'd come in the night and steal. them.
God damn it, they took my horses.
And another big problem was like wood to build the fort with, right? So the most dangerous job at Fort Phil Kearny was being a woodcutter. Because what the place to get the wood was
Pino Forest?
Was the woods?
Well, it was this little island that they called Little Piney
that's what it
Island.
is.
Or Piney Island is what it was. And they would have to go out there, and it's like 2 miles away. They could sort of see them, like the watchmen could see them.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't protect you if like a bunch of, like 40 Oglala Braves ran down on you and just decided to just kill as many of them as you could.
We got our
reinforcements.
axes. They're like, we got our axes too.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got throwing axes.
But if you think about it, like, these guys were pretty green soldiers, and the Oglala...
That's the green joke I should have made.
There you go. The Oglala Braves were some of the greatest horsemen in North America. And, like, by the way, these soldiers are not cavalry. They are infantry. So they march everywhere. We'll get to where some cavalry detachments link up with Carrington at Fort Phil Kearny, but for now, they don't really have a lot to stave off this, and let alone any kind of offensive against Red Cloud. They can't make that happen.
So this to me just sounds like you guys remember playing Warcraft 3? Like,
yeah,
basically,
I've
like,
never played
They
Warcraft.
just put all their monies in foot soldiers, the cheapest guys.
Yeah.
Try like
Don't upgrade
do a
anything.
Zerg rush or something. But like, nah, dude.
it's way a Zerg rush, except
but
they're not playing as the Zerg. They're playing as
yeah, like
the Americans.
The Americans. So I mean, come on, where's the tanks at?
Yeah,
Like, you need your glaives.
they got none of that.
In those games, I always wanted to upgrade everything and max out everything before I attacked, and that's why I always lost.
What?
Sorry.
Warcraft! Jesus!
I'm as lost as you
I
are.
don't know what you're talking. Your war crams.
Oh, I'm sorry we're not talking about
My
Star
war
Trek
games?
or fucking Star Wars, respectively.
So one supply wagon that was on its way to Fort Phil Kearny to reinforce Carrington was attacked. And they dug in. They got really confused as to where the attack was coming from, because again they'd ride in really fast and then leave really fast, but they would attack from different directions. And so like they sort of hid in this area, and the soldiers made a death pact, which is actually, I think, the first in American history where American soldiers made a
Recorded.
death pact where if they're on top of us, we're gonna kill each other instead of getting captured, because that is way worse.
I
than-
kill you first, and then as soon as I kill you, then I kill myself. No.
We shoot our guns at the same time.
Yeah. Same time. On 3 or after 3?
Is it 1, 2, 3, go?
1, 2, 3, and then go?
On 3?
Or
Well, you didn't go.
Do we
go
count
on
it down?
Yeah.
25.
And so they're sitting there and they're really beleaguered, and they're like, oh god, because over the hill they see this giant cloud of smoke.
Yeah.
Or not smoke, but dust.
Was
and
it
they're
red?
like, oh, here they come. And this figure rides over the hill through the dust, and it's Jim Bridger.
Oh.
Hey,
And he goes, sorry I'm late. And he's there with a detachment from Fort Phil Kearny, and he's like, come on in, guys, sorry I'm late, sorry that happened, but... Turns out that this attack had been a simultaneous attack by Red Cloud, where he attacked multiple things at the exact same time. And this is something that the Americans didn't think that they were capable of. Because this is like some West Point shit.
Yeah.
And like, they didn't think that they were capable of pulling off these like really complex military maneuvers, but he did. And so they not only absolutely underestimated Red Cloud, but it was one of those wake-up calls where they're like, oh, we're screwed. You know?
These guys are doing elite tactics.
Yes, yeah.
And I think despite the fact that, like, in single combat or in, like, one-on-one combat, they're like, we got guns. How come we're still kind of getting our asses kicked?
Well, because there were crack shots with a bow and arrow. They grew up with a bow and arrow in their hand.
And
they also had some of the same guns that they had at Fort Phil Kearny.
Turns out trading isn't all about alcohol and tobacco.
Now, there was a few, like, if there's such a thing as a bad omen, there was a few of them early on for Carrington. The first being his visitors. A small group of Lakota, claiming to be friendly, rode up on the camp to trade. And they didn't trade much, and they didn't stay for long. And they kind of found out later that all it was just a party writing in and being like, what do you have? How many men do you have? How many guns do you have? How much ammunition do you have? Okay, great, see ya.
Yes.
So now...
it was the recon party.
It was a recon party. So Red Cloud now knows everything inside of Fort Phil Kearny. He knows exactly what is going on in Fort Phil Kearny.
He's like, I would like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bags of flour.
Yeah.
6 bags of flour. He's like, why do you keep on saying 6 bags of flour when I have 6 guys on the tower? He's like, no reason, don't worry about it. And I would also like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes of bullets. 5. And he's like, seems legit. You guys are good. Checks out. Do you want to buy it? No, we're good. We're leaving now. Above the board to me.
Yeah. Another bad omen was when Black Horse showed up with his group of Cheyenne, and they rode up on Fort Phil Kearny, and they were actually legitimately friendly. You know, they were there to trade. But Carrington this time was a little bit more wise, and he was like, hey, so what's Red Cloud doing? And he's like, oh, Red Cloud's doing his Sundance right now. He's getting ready for you.
All the independent films.
Oh, he's gonna fuck you up.
And he's like, independent film. But he's like, well, how many troops does he have? And he's like, he has a lot of them. And by the way, for people who don't know, Sundance isn't just a film festival. It is the most sacred ceremony of the Sioux. And a few others as well.
Is the film festival named after?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
What it is...
It seems a little insensitive, doesn't it?
Too late now.
Yeah.
Well, my question
name
is Sundance, the film festival, as badass as the real Sundance?
There you go.
But the real Sundance was an absolutely badass thing.
And that's what I wanted to know.
Yeah, so what it is what you do is you take these wooden prongs that they'd carve, and you'd cut incisions into your chest, one on each side, basically, one on each side, and you'd insert these barbs, these anchors, basically, into your chest, and they were attached to, string. I mean, they didn't have string, but like string, for lack of a better term, to like a tree or a pole that would like have some give, have some bend to it. And then they would weight the top down with a buffalo skull, because the buffalo was the center of their universe, and the buffalo, it was the center of the whole thing. And what you would do is you would lean back and make those barbs like pull at your skin, and you would basically dance around it, and it was a certain song that you would sing. And there's a lot of
I think it's by Nine Inch Nails.
I thought it was Twisted Sister. We're not gonna take it.
Also works.
Well, there's a lot of different reasons for doing a Sundance.
Mostly to get rock hard.
And honestly, there's a lot of nuance with Sundance, and I don't really want to oversimplify it.
And after a while, you can't come any other way.
Jesus, fuck me. I don't really want to oversimplify it, because it is a very important thing that they did, and some people still do, although it was to give up your own suffering for good fortune, basically.
It's a mini Jesus.
Yeah, you're giving up your own suffering for the good of everyone.
I'm not going to die for
In a
your
way.
sins, but I'm going to go through extreme suffering and pain. Maybe some good shit will happen.
Yeah.
To ease things along.
You'll win some
And
scratch tickets.
you'd have like visions and stuff while you had it, because you're in immense pain.
And you come real hard. It comes
Jeez.
flying out. Just jets.
Yeah, like Jesus
Yeah.
on the cross.
Yeah.
I'll sexual jokes aside, that sounds so fucking hardcore.
It is. It is.
Again,
Yeah.
okay, I am gonna go back to the sexual thing, but like, talk about getting like rock hard for war.
Right.
You know,
Well, that's what it is.
Talk
yeah.
about getting really fucking amped up.
You
and
put yourself through a lot to go through like to get yourself ready for war. And the thing is about like the pain is it's sort of up to you how much you lean back and how much you do this.
Sure.
But you want to be brave. You know, it is a rite of passage to do this too.
And you can't cancel the war after you've done that. Because you would seem like such a bitch if you did.
Dude, it's like me listening to Judas Priest on my commute in from Tacoma.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same thing.
That's me getting ready for war.
It's the same thing exactly.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Now Black Horse left and went south, and you know he stopped at French Pete's to trade. And they were right in the middle of trading pelts when a group of Lakota rides down from the hills to meet him. And who else is there but Red Cloud himself?
God damn it.
Sweet.
Red Cloud himself.
Red Cloud and French Pete in the same place?
Yeah.
That's a cool party.
He grilled Black Horse for information on what the Little White Chief had planned to do. And honestly, Black Horse was straight with him. He told him that the planning on constructing 2 forts along the Bozeman Trail, you know, and sort of what they were doing. But then Red Cloud was looking at what they were trading for, and he saw whiskey and tobacco and a bunch of other white man shit.
Cool
and like,
shit.
Oh, I love that
we
shit.
know from the first episode how Red Cloud felt about whiskey. His father died from whiskey. He was always averse to it, especially his people taking this poison whiskey is what it was. He was none too pleased. So the Red Cloud asked him if the loyalty of a great Cheyenne brave could be bought with paltry white gifts.
Damn. Damn.
Badass.
Yeah. So here's another Red Cloud quote
I
here.
posit,
Okay.
before the quote,
Yeah.
I posit that maybe Red Cloud was just an angry straight edge guy who wanted everyone to be straight edge like him.
No, he wanted his way of life to continue.
I know. He didn't want genocide to happen to his people, but also he's like kind of a square. He saw other people partying and was getting all mad and being like,
Oh, it's like Madero didn't like to party.
yeah. Exactly.
Fuck you guys,
Well,
man.
we just got a room full of Maderos who don't
Fuck
want to party.
you guys.
No, okay.
I love me some Red Cloud.
I'm being
sorry I said
glib.
that.
Red Cloud's fighting for the survival of his people
And
and,
it's
his
not
race.
real
and his-
whiskey, guys. This is poison.
It's Old Crow. I mean, I
It's
just had a shot of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's
It's not
poison.
even. It's
That's
not even
poison.
Elijah Craig.
It's not even Evan Williams.
Hey, I'll party with that.
Not even R&R.
Oh no.
Oof.
It's worse than that.
It's richer and rarer than anything that you could possibly put in your stomach.
So, Red Cloud had this to say. He said, quote, "The white man lies and steals. My lodges were many, but now they are few. The white man wants all. The white man must fight, and the Indian will die where his fathers died." Black Horse didn't reply. In a fit of rage, the Lakotas grabbed their bows off their back and they struck the Cheyenne across their faces with them. And they didn't fight back, because this was a humiliation. It was a message, it was an announcement, and they knew what sort of symbol this was to them. It was like a slap in the face.
It was a bitch slap.
Yeah, when you're like, you're fucking up, you need to be better, and he slapped him across the face. It was an announcement that there would not be any half measures here. They wouldn't do this halfway. If they didn't want them to be there, they would not rely on the white man's goods at all. You know?
This is the moment where there was a chance, at least mentally, that they're like, we're going to repel every white person from the American frontier.
Oh, that's what Red Cloud wanted. He wanted his land.
And I think from their military successes to the mentality to everything that happened up into this point, and like the wherewithal, this is this is the point where that would have been a thing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. At least it was a display of that. So Red Cloud rode away. And Black Horse and his Cheyennes packed up quickly, and they warned French Pete that he should probably go north to Fort Phil Kearny as soon as he can, too.
He's like, I'm too busy making croissants and eating my wife's pussy.
They still refuse. They're like, nah, we've always been fine. We're friends. We've been friends with everybody. It's all good.
He's like, I'm not American, I'm French.
Yeah.
They're like, all right, dude.
All right.
See,
And then what happened?
before we go forward, do you think that French Pete would have been all right if he was Swiss Pete?
No.
Nope.
Nope.
If you
Because
were
he's still white Pete.
If you're white Pete, yeah.
Yeah. You
So,
white, you Ben Affleck.
If it was Kenyan Pete, maybe.
Later,
Maybe.
they would find French Pete's body strewn about, mutilated. That was that.
Dude, fuck
French
him.
Pete was gone.
Wait, quick digression. Was it Lewis and Clark that had one freed slave that was a part of their crew?
He was not
And-
freed.
Okay, so he was a slave.
Yeah.
But they hoard him out because he was like a commodity.
Well, they were fascinated by him.
Yeah, no.
Again, this is a story for a different day.
But they went to like native camps and they were like, "Sup with your friend with a big old dick," and they're like, we'll show you." And like he was like banging mad native chicks.
This is yet to be proven, ladies and gentlemen.
I read it somewhere online.
Yeah, online. Yeah,
No,
must be true.
I swear it's
It'd
a
be
real
pretty
thing.
cool if that did
I
happen.
wouldn't just bring this up.
Honestly, Tyler, if we do cover Lewis and Clark at some point, which would be a good idea, and that happens to be a thing, I will eat my words.
Okay.
I promise you I'll eat my words.
I thought you were gonna say you'll eat your hat, and I'm like, I'm gonna buy you a hat. It's not gonna be made out of meats.
No, it's
and you're
gonna
eat
it's,
it.
it's gonna be made out
gonna
of
be a
like
skin hat.
synthetic
It's gonna be made out of
fibers.
quinoa.
Oh, delicious. So, Red Cloud's raids at Fort Phil Kearny would be almost every day, sometimes every other day, but like constantly on them. And they were always afraid of Red Cloud's raids. And they would happen all throughout the fall. And usually, the way that Native Americans would conduct war is they would only have it in the summertime. Like we talked about this in the first episode. In wintertime, you'd go to your traditional, winter rest grounds. And for them, it was in further north into the Black Hills. And they would rest there throughout the winter. But Red Cloud, knowing that this was going to be like an all-out war, he convinced all of his warriors that he had just united to stay throughout the winter and still conduct war, which was unprecedented. This is the first time that ever happened.
Did Red Cloud's warriors get time and a half for
OT.
fighting? Yeah, getting some OT.
No, but what they did get was grease. And they'd cover their bodies in grease to, I guess it protects from the cold. That's something I did not know until now. I guess covering your body in grease protects from cold somehow.
What?
What kind of grease?
I don't...
Bacon grease?
I'm guessing buffalo. Buffalo fat. Buffalo grease.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like Grease, like the place with all the pillars.
I thought of the movie. let's bowl, let's rock and roll.
Yeah,
It's
Oh, were
Grease
they,
2.
Grease. Oh, okay. We've already made a reference to Grease 1 last time with the Tell Me More. So Grease 2,
Let's bowl, let's rock and roll.
that's Frenchie's story, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
I've never seen either Grease movie.
Neither have I, and I don't plan on doing it. I'm sorry.
Well-
I'm sorry.
Sorry that
I'm not sorry.
Sorry that you guys are racist against the Greeks.
I'm not racist against
not what I
Greece.
said.
I'm racist against the Italians. Get it right.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I don't like to watch stupid fucking movies.
I'm not racist against the Italians. That was a joke.
I know it is. So meanwhile, Carrington's men were grumbling that they should take the fight to Red Cloud and stop being defensive. Captain William J. Fetterman, who knew Carrington from a previous career in the Civil War, he arrived with his young wife at Fort Phil Kearny.
Why is everybody bringing their wives?
Because you're going in the middle of the goddamn nowhere for like months at a time.
And
You
we're about to meet a guy who brought his wife and left his wife at home.
Yeah. Yes. We're about to meet that piece of shit. Fetterman had served in the Union Army with distinction and was sort of a hawkish officer for Carrington. He would proclaim that if he had 80 men, 80, he could ride right through Red Cloud's forces, which is a laugh.
So he was a regular Dick Cheney then.
Yeah,
That's
he
some
thought-
bullshit.
Yeah, no, there's no way.
What if what
it's
he was-
clear that he knew nothing of what he was talking about.
Or he was very smart, and what he meant to say was, if I had 80 of Red Cloud's men, I could ride through Red Cloud's army.
Yeah, that's if that's what he meant, which most certainly he didn't. Then yeah, he might be right.
Yeah.
How
but-
drunk was he when he made that statement?
No, he was stone cold sober.
So maybe you are right about the straight edge dudes
Yeah. Just being angry and wanting to start shit.
Oh, I think so.
listening to Vegan Reich the whole time.
Ugh.
So because of all these grumblings, Carrington would look for reasons to actually attack. Although he didn't really have the ammunition or guns or manpower to pull off an all-out offensive against Red Cloud, he'd still look for little reasons to do it.
And real quick, why didn't they have the resources that they needed to just bulldoze?
Because no one really knew what it took to fight them. Like Jim Bridgers said, he said, "You guys are crazy. You know nothing about fighting Indians. You know nothing about fighting Indians." And that's a direct quote. That's something he actually told Carrington.
You got some straight dum-dums.
And they're like, "Ah, we do. We were in the Civil War. We do." But
Well, and didn't
Civil War tactics are different than fighting Indians.
And didn't the war itself deplete the treasury so heavily?
It did. So, yeah, and this is the big reason why they wanted to get to the Montana goldfields in the first place, is because, the treasury was empty, and there was a lot of gold up there, and they were like, well, we need money.
Would
now.
you say that there was gold in them there hills?
Yes, I would. Good job, Tyler.
I took a couple quarters of Prospector in high school, so
Yeah.
Shooting, guns in the air.
panning for gold.
I thought you just took a couple quarters.
Well, the second quarter is all about shooting guns.
So Carrington was playing a very dangerous game. He was trying to build 2 forts, which honestly he was better at building forts than he was at really anything else.
Oh, he's kick-ass at building forts.
Yeah, he was trying to keep morale as high as it could be under the circumstances, but they were still rationing food. It was still pretty bleak, and morale was constantly sinking from all of these raids and everything. And then he had to separate his forces because he had to go build Fort C.F. Smith, and that really stretched the forces. So there's nothing he could do to really do that. The chips were stacked against him.
All I'm saying is if rationing my food, I'm gonna be in a real fucking bad mood.
Oh yeah,
My personal morale,
Chris
real
gets
fucking low.
angry.
Oh yeah.
And also,
I think I have a bit of a hypoglycemic thing,
That might be a thing.
you know?
I don't know whether...
I'm gonna be straight bitch.
Am I going to be more mad that I didn't get selected? Or am I going to be, more mad that I did get selected to be, a part of the team that goes with?
Oh well. Okay. Fun fact: we may have mentioned this in the first Red Cloud episode. There was a lot of soldiers that joined up with the military just for a free ride to the goldfields.
Yeah.
Just for a free ride up there, and so desertion was a constant problem in this time, not just for Carrington, but for the entire United States military. They'd go out there and they'd be like, "All right, see ya," and they were like, "What?
Whoa!
It's literally joining the U.S. Army September 1st, 2001. And you're like, it's going to be a fucking sick ride, man. We don't have wars anymore.
I'm going to Germany.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I'm going to maybe go to Osaka,
No
go
joke,
to Germany.
I talked to somebody who was in the military when that happened today.
Yeah.
And he was like,
Fucking
yeah.
wake up
That
call.
did straight up happen.
He said that he thought it was, when they were like, shit's going down, he's like, he straight thought it was an exercise.
Yeah.
He was like, this isn't real.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
isn't real.
Well, and these guys thought they're the big bad United States Army
Yeah.
with all this all this force behind it. There's no way that a group of Stone Age Indians could possibly hold a candle to them. And that's why they always underestimated Red Cloud. But Red Cloud, man, ugh.
No way a bunch of jacked, sinewy, earthy men with expert archery skills
They
and
were like
horseback skills.
born on a horse.
Yeah.
You know,
Are
like
gonna
born
be-
with the bow and arrow in their
They're like
hands.
Mongols.
Yeah.
In a way, yeah. Like they knew the area, they knew the terrain. They operated as one just amazing fighting force.
And the way they conducted warfare was literally 100 years ahead of what they were fighting against.
Right, yeah. Exactly, and they did very well.
I mean, honestly, to me, it just I can't help but think of current events, like what's happening in the Middle East. Like
yeah.
like it's history keeps on fucking repeating itself over and over again.
Right.
That's the curse of the historian, is that you know what's coming, and you warn people, but they do it anyway, and humanity is doomed to repeat it, but the historian's doomed to witness it.
Right.
Again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
It's pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
It really is an issue when you elect a president who has no knowledge or history whatsoever.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I won't mention names, but he's our current president.
Yeah, our current president.
Look, well, all I'm trying to
It-
say is that Carrington really needed to bust out the drones already. 'Cause,
Right,
like,
yeah.
shit's not looking good for him.
There was a new man at Fort Phil Kearny. His name was Lieutenant George Grummond. Now, Grummond was a terrible person. He was just a bad dude.
The name like Grummond.
He's never seen a chair that he didn't have to climb onto.
I really hope that his nickname was the Grundle.
But I can make an assumption that he just fucking.
Oh, he was this like good-looking dude.
Oh, was he?
He was, yeah, and he had this awesome mustache and goatee. Like he was a good-looking dude.
Oh,
I
He was a
picture those-
scallywag.
he
what
was
are those
eating
guys
more
from-
pussy than French Pete.
What are those guys that eat rocks in Legend of Zelda?
Goron.
That's what I pictured.
No.
You pictured a Goron?
No, we'll post pictures.
You were picturing a Goron. It turns out he's a Zora.
We'll post pictures.
Oh, those guys are hot.
During the Civil War, he got a really bad reputation as a hard-drinking, foolhardy man who would endanger his troops by disobeying orders and just leading them directly into battle, drunk as fuck. And his troops were like, "Hey, this guy's a psychopath."
I like him
So
already.
basically,
Cool.
he sounds like us.
Yeah.
So,
I'm not fit to run a military campaign.
He's a bit of a hippie
but you're
boy.
a hard drinking, foolhardy man, much like myself.
But I should
and
not
the
be
rest of the
leading
boys.
troops.
None of us should be leading
a
troops.
hard-drinking, foolhardy rogue with
He
a
would've
heart
been-
full of gold who robs from the rich, gives to the poor, and
his
eats hella
heart,
pussy.
his heart was not filled with gold.
Yeah, you're right.
It was not. It was not. That guy, he was a piece of shit.
He's got to go.
yeah.
Tell us the bad stuff. I'm sick of admiring him. I went from being like, he's a stout man who climbs into chairs.
Yeah, 'cause I was like, oh, he's drunk as fuck, leading an army? Cool. Rock and roll.
He was quietly relieved of command during the Civil War, but because of the United States military's desperation with the West and Red Cloud's war, he was sent to Fort Phil Kearny.
Oh, I bet they met up with him, and he was chopping wood, right? Drunk
No,
as fuck.
no.
No, we're not doing that again.
He cut his finger off because he was so drunk.
No, they met
Throw
up
it
with
in
him
the
right
fire.
before he was going to beat his
damn it.
wife.
So actually,
What?
speaking of wives, Grumman had a pregnant wife in Michigan before the Civil War, and once the war broke out, he left his wife alone and went and joined the military, and then never went back to her. I never talked to her again. Never saw her again.
So we can assume what she looked like.
This guy in the ducks
Does that mean?
in the movie about him, he'd be played by Danny McBride.
Yeah. Grumman would be, Danny McBride. After the war, and after he was relieved of command, he married another woman. Her name was Frances, and she had no idea he had another wife and child that he had completely abandoned.
Yeah, I mean, he tried to tell her.
No, he didn't.
I know.
He
I think
took
that's
her.
literally, happens in Eastbound and Down.
Oh,
like-
yeah. That didn't stop him from taking her all the way out west into literally the most dangerous place you could possibly go to in the West, and she has no idea. no idea what they're getting into.
Do you think on the journey to the West they were listening to Pet Shop Boys?
It would be a brass band version of Pet Shop Boys, but it'd still be Pet Shop Boys.
Now, maybe, Grumman wanted to leave his old life and military career behind him, or no one really knows his motivations for going out there. But in any case, he was an absolute abusive alcoholic, too. Like, he was verbally abusive, he was physically abusive, he was overall a piece of shit. And when they pulled up to Fort Phil Kearny, just as they're getting there, they're like, all right, we finally made it. Months of work, months of being on a wagon. We finally made it. What is the wagon that is pulling in the opposite direction? It's an ambulance wagon. And in the back is the decapitated corpse of the photographer, Ridgway Glover. And so, of course, like, Francis Grumman's like, oh no, what am I walking into?
He was like, "Where's my beverage at?
Yeah.
Daddy needs a drink."
He's like, this brave soul gave his life for the war effort. No, that's a photographer. Oh, fuck.
Oh, no.
Again, attacks would keep happening. The only, good day that Carrington had at Fort Phil Kearny is when they raised this giant American flag over the fort. And it was big. It was big. You could see this thing for miles. It was a big thing, and everyone cheered, and they fired cannons, and they partied. And Carrington said, you guys have the afternoon off. And it was their first day off since they had gotten there. And you know how long that lasted?
42 minutes.
2 hours.
Okay.
Oh, shit.
Jesus
2 hours.
Christ.
Because the cannon fire and all the cheering, Red Cloud himself and all, they were like, what is that? And they went up on the hill where they could see him in full view. and they went up there and they looked and they were like, I don't know, they're just partying down there.
These dumb motherfuckers.
Yeah, and so Red Cloud sent down a detachment of his troops, and they volleyed them with arrows, and this is at night, because they could see their campfires, so they volleyed them with arrows, and then just disappeared. And then they're, shooting in all directions,
Jesus.
all these soldiers are scared, and they're shooting in all directions, and, they went back up into the hills, and as, a form of intimidation, the Oglalas, started, these giant bonfires on top of the hills, and they danced around them as yeah, we're here, we will always be here, we're partying about the fact that we're a constant presence with
Get
you.
out the machine guns.
Well, they got out the howitzers,
Yeah.
No.
and they shot cannons at him because, hey,
Right there.
I can see that light right there.
Maybe that guy's Red
It made
Cloud.
him a target. So it was a misstep on their part. This was a common method with any Indian fighters at the time. What they would do is they would hit you fast with a smaller group of Indian braves, and then they would retreat to a larger force and hope you followed. And in that way, they'd catch you in an ambush. And this is well known. But the Americans never caught on. They just never seemed to get it. And so every
Got him
time
on the run, boys.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. And every time
Keep shaking, boy! Or shake harder, boy! Simpsons reference.
Simpsons reference. Every time they would attack the woodcutters on Piney Island, they would retreat and then they'd chase them, and then they'd get killed. And this would just keep happening. And combine that with an officer corps that was like, we should take the attack to the enemy. It's just a recipe for disaster. We gotta go chase them.
You would think the smart thing to do would just be to sit back, wait for him to come to you, shoot him with machine guns and cannons.
They didn't have machine guns.
I noticed that Red Cloud was really fond of horses.
Oh, yeah.
Why, again, didn't they take a page out of history and just build a giant horse out of wood as a gift? And then come on out with some cannons.
Different
and shit.
strokes for different folks.
I mean,
even then, the tools of warfare were different. The guys would come out of the horse, they'd shoot their guns once, it'd take 3 minutes for them to reload, and they'd get their heads bashed in.
Yeah.
Pretty much,
Yeah.
I feel like a Trojan War versus
Red Cloud?
Red
That
Cloud.
wouldn't have worked. Red Cloud would have set that shit on fire.
Guys,
a real good idea.
thank you for this
A
gift.
gift? Fuck your gift.
Oh, a horse. Cool. Boom. Yeah. Boom.
Yeah, he notoriously didn't like the gifts. Now, Captain...
But he's a great gift giver.
Right.
If you like,
gift of death.
If you like death.
Yeah. Now, Captain Fetterman, he kept approaching Carrington with all these plans to use Red Cloud's tactics against him. These, like, sort of ambush tactics, where you try to lure them out and then into, like, a larger ambush. But Carrington, knowing, like, the circumstances of the situation, knowing he didn't have enough horses, he's only dealing with infantry, who, what are the infantry supposed to do? Ride along, or run alongside the horses? Like, that's not gonna happen. So he would shoot down a lot of his ideas. However, soon enough, they had to rescue woodcutters off of Pino Creek. And the plan was, like, as soon as this happened, the plan was to lead 2 columns, the Oglalas, and one was to sort of absorb the initial attack, and the other one was to circle around and to catch the people retreating.
Flank move.
Yeah, you flank them, and then you catch them retreating, and you obliterate them, right? That was the plan. So, Fetterman and a lieutenant named Horatio Bingham, they were in the first column. And Carrington himself and Drummond were in the other 2 columns.
The second column.
Yeah, the second 2 columns.
The winning column.
They're getting up there, and they're seeing movement and whatnot, and they're trying to follow the movements, and it gets really, really confusing, and I'm gonna do my best to sort of describe this. Fetterman spurs his horse, and he leaves with his men away from Carrington. And Carrington gets pissed off. He's like, "We need to stay together, you idiots." And he sends, like, a messenger after Grumman to be like, "Listen, if I caught you in time, just go back to the fort. Just forget it, go back to the fort." But he never could get him. So he's like, "Okay, well, let's turn and let's go towards Grummond." And when they get down there, they find Lieutenant Bingham's troops. And they're thoroughly confused, too. And they're like, "I don't know what just happened." Because here's what happened, like, Fetterman and Bingham... Like, Fetterman was behind Bingham, but Bingham had seen a lone Indian brave. And what he was doing is he was checking his horse's hooves for rocks and just sort of being nonchalant. Do you know who that person was?
Red Cloud.
Crazy Horse.
Crazy
Oh!
And,
Yes.
And they shot at him, and he didn't move. Because he knew that they had to get a certain range. They had to come closer before he was
You
going
gotta
to
see
move.
the white of their eyes.
Yeah, and so as soon as they got close enough, Crazy Horse jumped on his horse and then sped away, and then they chased after him. And so Grummond was coming down the hill as this was happening, and he met up with Bingham. And they, with only 5 men, because the rest of Bingham's forces stayed back, horrified, because they were super green. And they had seen the mutilated corpses. They had seen what has happened. They stayed back. They're like, there's no fucking way I'm going over there. So only 5 men with Grummond and Bingham went over to chase him, and they ran directly into this large force of Oglala and Cheyenne Braves, and they were being slaughtered all over the place. Grummond somehow made it out. And by the time he met up with Carrington, the rest of Bingham's forces, he was like, are you a coward? Or did you just want to see me slaughtered? And Carrington's, what the hell are you talking about? And he's like, dude, shit's going down over there. And they're like, okay, let's go over there. And when they get over there, they see them coming, so they form up a line. And they start shooting at them. And they're starting to surround them, like, fall back, fall back. And so they're falling back. Fetterman's troops finally catch up to him, and once the Indian Braves see Fetterman's troops being bolstered, they melt back into the hills. And all of a sudden, all was quiet, and they're like, what the hell just happened? Turns out that they went over to where Bingham was. What happened to Bingham was he was pulled off of his horse, and all these Braves surrounded him and just started going at him. And the way they found Bingham was impaled
Oh.
on a short tree
With like 50 arrows in him, right?
with 50 arrows stuck in him, and he was scalped. And they were
God
like, holy
damn.
shit.
So clearly he was a highly respected enemy combatant.
Well, Red Cloud knew by the markings on the uniforms who was high up in rank and who wasn't.
Like in Superman 2.
And he taught everybody how to recognize this.
Or in our Vlad episode where the one dude is
Hamza Bey.
Yep.
Hamza Bey, yeah.
Hamza Bey. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't wear a lot of decoration into war if you don't want to get horribly mutilated.
Yeah.
Because that's what the enemy will do,
Yeah.
because you're highly decorated.
Yeah. One of the men that was with Carrington as in all of this melee was a German man who actually didn't speak a lot of English, but he was their bugler. And his name was Adolf Metzger.
Let me play my bugle for you.
Yeah, I came to play the bugle, and I have the most popular name in all of the hinterlands. It will remain the most popular name forever.
Yeah.
I'm Adolf.
Yeah, but he was the one who signaled the retreat. Like, we gotta ride back, and they all rode back, and they were like, Carrington was disgusted by his troops. He was like, this
Allow me
can't,
to play my German tunes for you.
like,
It turns out to be
everyone-
Hawaiian 5-0.
Yeah.
They're like, what's up with the German bugler? All of his bugle music's just like, doonch, 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 doonch.
Dubstep. The first dubstep bugler.
Yeah.
No, man. If since he's German, it's either industrial or that's
Yeah,
it.
that's fair.
But he was like, "Oh my god, like we have got to do something about you guys disobeying orders, because nearly everybody had disobeyed an order in one way or another. But it's because they didn't trust Carrington.
He's a dum-dum.
The
Well,
only guy
honestly,
here.
if they would have listened to Carrington, maybe this wouldn't have happened. Maybe their ambush would have worked. But that's not how it went down. They
They're
fell right into Red Cloud's trap.
They're so mad. They're like, the only guy here that's not in lockstep with this genocide is the German guy named Adolf. What the fuck?
Because he doesn't speak any English.
He's like, I was just here to play the bugle.
So Red Cloud's test had worked. He was like, it's not time to do a full-scale invasion yet, to take them on a full offensive yet.
Because we don't have the shit to do it.
Well, no. He just wanted to make sure his tactics were working. And he's like, okay, I'm going to keep hitting them with the same tactic. If they keep falling for it, then hell, that's what I'm going to work for. And it had worked. And it worked really well. So he would now begin planning a very decisive offensive to invade both the beleaguered forts at C.F. Smith and Fort Phil Kearny. And what he would do, he would kill everyone there, he would spare no one, and he would burn the forts to the ground.
Badass.
I'm just getting wet the more you talk about Red Cloud.
But Red Cloud would bide his time to actually make this attack happen. That is where we're going to leave you until the next episode of History Boys. And we're going to wrap this up with Red Cloud Part 3.
I think that it's going to work out really well for him and his friends. I think...
For who and his friends?
Red Cloud and his friends. I think it's going to work out really well. I think the American forces are... they're undermanned, they're undergunned. These guys have them tactically speaking, and there's a reason why all of us, are really well versed in Native American history, in high school and stuff. And
Yeah, from what I understand,
That's a big yes and a no, Tyler. Yes and a no.
what I
It
understand
worked-
is that
yes and
Native Americans kind of end up running shit, and old white people aren't continuing to run the country.
Actually, I was watching an interview with an Oglala headman
and he's mad as hell.
of modern times, and one thing that kind of stuck with me in his interview is he said, in order to know anything about us, you have to go to like these giant dusty libraries to try to find anything about us. Like it is not in American culture what happened here. Like, there's a big reason
Yeah.
why most people nowadays don't even know who Red Cloud is.
Yeah,
And that's a crime, man.
100%.
You
Yeah.
know?
Well, it's like literally several hundred years of our nation's history.
That's been
And-
whitewashed and genocide and
It's a chapter.
but it's been washed away so thoroughly that even like the major players aren't even recognized or talked about anymore.
And the worst guy is on the $20 bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the worst people.
Except for Lincoln.
Yeah.
He was pretty cool.
Talking about
Lincoln was pretty dope.
who's on the 2. Fuck
George
that
Washington's
guy.
pretty dope.
Who is on the 2?
There's not
I have a two somewhere in
Alexander Hamilton.
Yeah,
Right?
fuck that guy.
Hamilton.
And also, every time I look at a silver dollar,
Who
I
was
say,
a good he was a
Hey,
good man.
Susan B. Anthony, you can fucking fuck off, buddy. You monster.
Susan B. Anthony was a hero, and she deserves her own episode.
But you
as
just
well.
said everybody on Money was bad guys.
Nearly
I-
everybody.
I have one of those gold dollar coins with
Sacagawea.
no
Oh, what?
fucking Van
Nader.
Buren.
Oh, Martin Van Buren was a
Van
monster
Buren?
too.
Yeah. And I fucking saved it because of that Seinfeld episode with the Van Buren boys.
Yeah. He was a monster.
Oh yeah.
That's why the Canadians have beavers on their money. Because beavers are cool, everybody likes them, and it's also a euphemism for vaginas. French
And
Pete,
hunted to near extinction, the same as the buffalo.
You know that
much like
the
all the
Oregon
pussy that French
flag.
Pete like to eat.
is one of the few flags that has two different sides. On one side it's a beaver, and then on the other side it's like whatever the fuck they have. The Oregon flag.
You know what would blow everyone's mind is if on our money, like on one side you had George Washington, if you flipped it over on the other side it was like Osama bin Laden.
I for a second I thought you were gonna say George Washington's ass.
And it'd be like,
I was hoping for a Big Mac, honestly.
Oh, nice.
Like,
Yeah, that's more
I
accurate.
just want
I
to
think
twist
so.
it. I want to twist
or
it.
a Walmart logo.
Oh,
Or literally any corporate logo on our money is more fitting than any leader or president we've ever
Watch
had.
it, it's gonna be a giant fucking A
It
for
should-
Amazon.
It should be the way.
yeah.
It should be the way we do stadiums where they're like, oh, you get to pay to be on the dollar for
Yeah.
this period of.
Yeah,
This period of time.
the Quest dollar bill.
No,
Yeah.
no, you get your
The
dollar.
T-Mobile $5 bill.
It's got George Washington on one
Like
side.
during this period of time, that's what we.
I'm going to drop something really thick on you guys, okay?
Oh, it better
So
not
you
be
ha-
a load because
you-
I
you
can't
have-
take that again.
One side is George Washington. You flip it over, the other side, it's your own face.
Shit.
It's like a mirror.
No.
You're printed on it. Because you took too many drugs, man.
It's like, why am I?
I didn't
on
know where
this?
you're going with that until now.
Why am I on this bill, man? Anyway, thank you for watching.
Watching.
Thank you
to
for
History
listening
Boys.
to the History
Wow.
Boys.
Thank you for listening to the History Boys. I'm Tyler. I'm here with the gang, guys.
I'm Jerry. Again, thank you guys for listening. It really means a lot to us.
What about Zach and Chris?
What's
Yeah,
up?
I'm just saying my bit.
Here.
Give us
I'm
a
fucking
review.
here.
Give us a review.
I had a
It
rough
really
week.
helps us out. Give us a review on all the platforms that you listen to podcasts on. It really helps us get noticed and helps more people to listen to it.
And just keep on
yeah.
listening.
Yeah,
Keep
man.
listening.
No,
You are important to us.
you're our favorite people that we haven't met.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
And we all want to meet you. All of you.
We love you. We're trying to get some stuff in the works later on.
Yeah. No
Regarding-
spoilers just yet,
but-
but we got some exciting news here soon.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot, everyone. Have a good night.
Okay, bye.
Like.
We'll see you next time. Or I guess we won't, whatever. Whatever.
Bye.